I get itchy staring at a wall of mini PC ads and wondering if any of them will actually let you game on a coffee table without turning your living room into a heat venting furnace. You've probably spent a few evenings scrolling through specs, only to feel more confused about whether the price tag is justified. The fear of splurging on a tiny box that can't keep up with the games you love is real, and the opposite worry missing out on a compact powerhouse because you assumed it was just for office work keeps many of us stuck on the fence. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's talk about the ESIMOER Mini Gaming PC. At first glance, the headline reads 13th Gen Core i7, RTX 3050, 16GB RAM, 512GB SSD, which sounds like a laptop that someone managed to squeeze into a matchbox. That's the promise, but the real question is how it behaves when you actually fire up a modern shooter, stream on a second monitor, or try to keep the noise down while you're on a Zoom call. I dug into the product page, scanned the Q&A, and read through the handful of user comments that do exist. What emerged is a picture of a device that mostly delivers on its core promise, with a few trade-offs that matter depending on how you plan to use it. First, the performance you get out of that i7-13700H and RTX 3050 combo. In practice, the CPU handles the latest titles at medium to high settings without choking, especially when you're not pushing 4K resolution. The GPU, while not a beast, comfortably pushes 1080p 60 frames per second in games like *Fortnite* or *Valorant*, and can even stretch to 1440p in less demanding titles. The real win is the 16GB of DDR4 RAM, which stops you from hitting the dreaded out-of-memory wall that many budget mini PCs stumble into when you try to multitask, say, game while you have Discord and a web browser open. The 512GB NVMe SSD loads worlds fast, meaning you won't sit around watching a loading circle for more than a few seconds. Now, think about your setup. If you're living in a small apartment and want a system that can sit on a bookshelf or tuck behind a monitor, the ESIMOER's 88mm footprint is a genuine advantage. The 3 built-in fans keep temperatures in check, and most owners report that under a typical gaming load the unit stays around the mid-70°C range, which is acceptable for a compact chassis. The fans are audible, but not enough to drown out game audio or a conversation. They sit in the background like a quiet fan in a room. That's a point worth noting if you plan to use it in a bedroom or a shared space where silence matters. Connectivity is another area where this tiny box shines. With 4 USB-A 3.0 ports, 4 USB-C, 2 of which support data and charging, Gigabit Ethernet, Wi-Fi 6, and Bluetooth 5.2, you can plug in a mechanical keyboard, a high refresh rate mouse, a headset, and still have ports left for an external SSD. The 4-port video output 2 HDMI 2.1 and 2 DisplayPort 1.4 lets you run up to 4 screens simultaneously. In real life, that means you could have your game on one monitor, a Discord chat on another, and a music player on a third without juggling cables. The only catch is that the RTX 3050's VRAM is 6GB, so if you push a single game past 1440p with ultra textures, you'll start seeing frame rate dips. For most gamers who stick to 1080p or are fine with a few settings lowered, it's a non-issue. Who should buy this? If you're a student or a remote worker who also enjoys weekend gaming sessions, this mini PC gives you a dedicated machine that won't dominate your desk space. It's great for people who want a sit-and-forget console-like experience. You plug it into a TV, hook up a controller, and you're ready to go. It also works well for creators who need a secondary workstation for video editing or 3D modeling at modest levels. The i7 can handle rendering tasks faster than a typical office laptop, and the SSD speeds up file transfers. The built-in sound card, powered by Realtek, offers decent audio for headphones, so you don't need a separate DAC unless you're an audiophile. On the flip side, If you're a hardcore gamer who demands 4K ultra-high settings, high frame rates in the 120 frames per second range, or you plan to use ray tracing as a daily habit, the RTX 3050 will feel like a stepping stone. Likewise, if you're looking for a machine to run large AI workloads or massive datasets, the 512GB SSD will fill up quickly and the limited VRAM will bottleneck you. The compact chassis also means you can't upgrade the GPU later. The only real upgrade path is adding more storage via the available M.2 slot or swapping the SODIMM sticks for a high-capacity kit, which is something you need to be comfortable doing. A subtle but practical weakness is the thermal envelope when you push the system for prolonged periods. The 3